Well, gents, starting another project. Underneath this snow and tarp is a 1996 GMC 3500. This was my first diesel pickup, so it's got a lot of value to me. Took it to prom. It was my daily driver in high school, but since it's been sitting, and it's been through a lot. Pretty clean pickup truck underneath the snow and tarp. It's been through the best and worst, but if you notice, there's no engine in here. Nope, no engine, no trans. This truck, it's been with me basically my entire life, but it was a old farmer's deal. If I could fix it, I could keep it. Spend that entire winter getting this thing started. So, and here's some old clips of when I first found the truck and first started it up in the barn we found it in. Like I said, it was, if you could start it, you could keep it, so. Had it for a long time, but ended up blowing a transmission once, and that transmission turned into a bad engine, and that bad engine turned into where she sits now. Sold the engine, sold the transmission. It had a 6.5 Detroit in it, so it wasn't the most sought after engine in the world, but by God, it did the job. But that 6.5 failed me, and the transmission also failed me, so I thought that while it sits here, we'd give it a new life. Have some pretty cool stuff planned for it. New rims, new tires, all new trim, all new, basically everything. But it's a relatively clean truck, especially for Minnesota. And well, yeah. Might be asking yourself, well, what engine are we going to put into it, and what transmission? Well, I'm still thinking on transmission, but I definitely have options with this motor. This here is the motor I decided on going with. Now, if you could tell me what motor this is with before me telling you, that's pretty impressive, but it's a pretty slept on motor. They were known for being pretty gutless and not giving you enough power and whatever, but I'm here to change that. Now, when I was deciding on the motor that I wanted to put in there, wanted something inline 6, but I also wanted something that was already offered in GM trucks. So the biggest two candidates was a C7 Cat and this John here. Now, the C7 Cat, though it is a nice engine, they had some rough years and some rocky years, and it's pretty hard to find a one in good shape that somebody hasn't absolutely gone through. And well, parts are pretty easily accessible in the States here, but I just thought it was too common. I wanted to go with something a little different, something nobody else had going on for them. And this motor here checked off all the boxes on the list. Now, considered a Duramax, though it's not really. It was branded Duramax from 2003 to 2009. GM branded this as their inline 6 Duramax in their medium duty trucks, the Kodiaks, Top Kicks, and T Series. Now, from my understanding, people didn't understand the difference between the inline 6 and the V8. So when they found out it was the inline 6 and it was gutless, they wanted to get rid of it. So this is a pretty hard to find motor now because nobody wants it. They don't know what it is. But luckily I did my research and I know what it is. Now, from my understanding, there was two types of these motors, or two generations, I should say, that was branded Duramax. LG4 and LF8 Duramax 7800s. LG4 would have been the pre-emissions, and LF8 would have been the EGR and particulate filters for the emission standards in 2009-ish area. Now, in reality, this is just a rebranded Isuzu 6HK1X, but it doesn't mean much to me. It had a brand Duramax on it, so that was pretty cool. You can find parts for these all over. Now you can still find parts for these, mostly sleeves, pistons, rods, and valves, which honestly the rest we can fabricate up. It is the inline six. It's completely cast iron. It checked off all the boxes when I was doing research on them. Everything that the old motor on the truck didn't have. It's a direct injection, has dry sleeves, which the Cat C7 does not have dry sleeves. Single overhead cam, 24 valve. It is a 7.8 liter 475, and it was the product of an early partnership between GM and Isuzu. Now, this was not part of the D-Max venture between GM and Isuzu, so this engine was already equipped in some Isuzu equipment and other equipment, and it was already offered years prior. However, it was not a GM motor at that time. So this motor here came out of a GMC top kick. So it has all the GM spec equipment and wiring. This one is a pre-emission, so it is an LG4, which is what I was looking for. I don't want any of the emissions. I don't want any of the problems, but got pretty good plans with it. I want to do a complete rebuild top to bottom, and I want to do some upgrading. The turbo that these came with was just the Garrett standard for that time. I believe the Duramaxes also had, or the V8 Duramaxes also had the same turbo. I believe, don't quote me on that. But I do plan on doing a fabricated exhaust manifold with a bigger turbo. So we're gonna have to fabricate up some mounts for it. Which turbo, I'm not sure yet. Thinking whole set, but who knows. But as you can tell, it is completely undressed. I went through it the other night. I couldn't wait to take a video. I just had to tear it apart. But as you can tell, it's a little dirty. It's been sitting out of the truck for some time, so a rebuild is probably what it needs. It probably doesn't absolutely need it, but I'm gonna do it anyway just to make sure. But yeah, transmission is still up for debate. It was equipped with an Allison 2000 two-wheel drive. Now, kind of all depends on what happens on how the fitting goes for the engine, is how we're gonna dictate what transmission is gonna go into it. I would like to do a manual, but they never made manuals for these trucks, not that I'm aware of. And to make a manual work, I'm not quite sure which manual I'd go with. Probably would be an Eaton 11-speed or 9-speed or something of the like of that, but having an automatic transmission would be nice too. Now, the only thing is if I wanted to do two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. Now, this one is a two-wheel drive, so it's less electronics, less whatever. Just less of a headache when it comes to mounting. It depends on how the fitting of this engine goes. Because as the truck sits right now, it was equipped with a four-wheel drive. But if this engine is having problems fitting and I have to end up taking out that front axle, front gearbox and everything and turning it into a two-wheel drive, which would give me more room in the front to work with, I would go with a two-wheel drive transmission. If I can squeeze it together with the front axle or upgrade the front axle to something more slick but powerful, I'll try to go for some four-wheel drive because I'll probably need four-wheel drive out here. But it honestly just depends on how it goes. If I'm having issues mounting it with space-wise, I'm just going to go with the two-wheel drive and get rid of the front gearbox and front axle. But if I can make it work, I'll go with a four-wheel drive. I'm still up for debate on what transmission I want to put into it. if I want to keep the Allison 2000, rebuild this one, and either convert it from two-wheel drive to four-wheel drive when that decision is made, or if I just want to go with a manual and try to find an Eaton or something of the like of it. As you can see over here in this pile, I have almost everything taken out: oil cooler, intake, exhaust, all the tubing. And then on that shelf over here, I got the rest of it: turbo, all my accessory and fuel pump, fuel system. Everything was taken off of there. In the box over there, I got the entire wiring harness for it, which is nice, but I'm having a feeling I'm gonna have to go back through it and rewire some of that, because like I said, this has been sitting out of the truck for a little bit of time, not a terrible amount of time, but a little bit of time. All right, we're gonna start the tear down. First, get these injectors off so that we can get them sent into a shop to get tested and rebuilt. Here, pretty oily, but I'm gonna start by taking out these injectors here because I want to get them tested and rebuilt while I'm in here. So this is what I'm looking at right now. The focus. Each wire is colored, so that way when I go back to rebuild this pig, let's see what wires are going to wear. Easy. So number one, and this is from the pulley side, so number one's got this 2 white and a teal. Number 2 is a 2 white and a blue. 3 is 2 white, yellow. 4 is 2 red and a black, looks like. 5 is 2 red and a brown. 6 is 2 red and I would almost say it's like a purple or pink. Not really white, but I guess there's no white wires on this side, so let's set back up here. Alright, got all my wires out. See, I'm just gonna set them off to the side, and I'm probably gonna zip tie them back to this bracket on their respective side. That way I don't mix them up. I do plan on completely tearing the head apart, getting it resurfaced and cleaned out, but I would much rather save myself the headache of trying to reroute these wires and end up accidentally probably mixing them up and whatever. So we're just gonna zip tie them to a respective side, or keep them on that side, or whatever we can do to try to keep them separated. That way I don't have to redo all this crap when it's time to put it back together. Stupid. I got my diagram here pulled up. I didn't notice that little bolt. Okay, come on, focus. That 61 part, that's the holder down there for the injectors. So yeah, apparently I'm just dumb. Let's try to get that out. I don't know what size that is, to be honest. Well, that took me an embarrassing long time to figure out. So this chart here made it look like that collar is a nut for that part 61. It's not. Well, it is. But they take these, all right, come on, Nels. They take these security torque bits and figure out what size it is here for you guys. But if you can kind of see down there, there's one of those tapped torque bits, and that's what's holding that injector up. Now, nothing online said that, so that's awesome. Okay, so this one seems like it's the best. But let me see if I can't get a different size on it. Nope, this one fits better. All right, so it is a TR40. That's what's for these injector collars. So that took me way too long to figure out. So if you're trying to do this by the diagram, it's not a bolt. It is a torque bit. Finally. I think I just found the best way of going about pulling these injectors, because they typically, and some of them, they have like a, oh, come on now. They have like a pry point they can pry off of them, and typically they're where the bolt mounts to. But the bolt mounts back there, can't get to it. This one is kind of sloped, can't really get an Allen key under it or anything. Not an Allen key, like a pry tool. So what I found was just go through the fuel hole. This little, careful for the threaded portion, you just go all the way under it and you can get all the way up tight to it and you can pry it up. It should come right up. So, all right, let's keep pulling these injectors. Alright, so got all these injectors out. Just got them sitting in a box here. So my plan is to get them cleaned and rebuilt, because they're not the cleanest in the entire world. I can already tell you that for sure. And I have no idea what the health was like of the motor before I got it. So we're gonna pull them and clean them up. Hopefully we don't have to buy any new ones, but who knows. It shouldn't matter since I'm rebuilding them. It shouldn't matter the order, but I'm still gonna label them where they came from. And actually, it looks like they are not. Okay, never mind. They're not labeled, or if they are labeled, they're just labeled weirdly. But I was looking at this serrated number on the side. This is the order I pulled it from front to back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm just gonna label them that. It looks like they have labels on them, but they're not in order, so maybe it's the firing order, who knows. So we're gonna clean these up, get them rebuilt. But in the meantime, I'm gonna continue to pull this because I want to get everything off of the head and get the head resurfaced and cleaned out before we put it back together. So let's start doing that. So I'm glad I didn't try to start it because, you know, rats and their awesomeness. But these sleeves don't look too bad and the pistons don't look bad either, but I'm gonna replace them anyway. The head, although dripping oil right now, does not look too bad either. I still want to surface it though, although it does not look terrible. Well, it's a little funky, but not the worst. So I'm gonna set this head down somewhere, and well, actually we can probably start pulling these valves. Is what we could start doing. Let's see what we want to do here. All right, so that's all the time I have today for this motor. My phone keeps cutting out a video, so it'll probably be the last video until I get a new camera, because I'll just get a second camera for it. But no, yeah, we made a lot of progress. You guys missed it. Pulled off the cam, pulled off the head. Basically just gonna replace the bearings for the cam. I decided that the lobes were pretty good, so we're not gonna do anything with that. We're just gonna replace the bearings for it. And then maybe some hardware, but other than that, everything else is pretty much stripped down. Next video, we're gonna have new parts to put into it, and we're gonna try to figure out something with that transmission, but that's all I got today for this motor.